In late September of 2025, I was sitting in Los Angeles International Airport waiting to return to New Mexico when I heard a freight train roar through the airport. I looked up to see if people were panicking, and they were on their phones, reading their newspapers, and not responding. I went from hearing that roar to waking up in an ambulance. Later, I would learn that this was not an external sound. It was neurological. I was having a seizure. There were a series of interlocking events that placed me in that exact airport on that exact day with that exact delayed flight. That had I been on the plane or in Santa Fe, the outcome could have been very different, perhaps lethal. Without question, I was carried through a life or death portal that I can only describe as divine orchestration. That experience delivered on a silver platter a complete renaissance of my life. Somehow, for the second time in 7 months, I found myself at Cedars-Sinai, a Jewish hospital in the hands of a world-renowned medical team. Only this time, it was Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Because of this, many doctors were in temple and many surgeries had not been scheduled. By a miracle, a rare opening appeared with a world-renowned neurologist, Dr. Yu, the humor of which was not lost on me. Because Dr. Yu was really all about me. That is what led to an apple-sized tumor being expertly removed from my brain on a day meant for God to cleanse impurities so that we can return to right alignment. What they removed was not just a tumor. It was interference. A foreign intruder that had been pressing on my limbic system, unbeknownst to me for many years, creating emotional reactivity. The pressure caused me to feel on edge. I had difficulty regulating my nervous system. And the wild part, the reason I was in Los Angeles was to replace my front tooth that had popped out 7 months earlier during a robotic open heart surgery at the same hospital. It was a big year. Who knew that my heart and the real tooth fairy would save my brain? Before the surgery, I had lived with a low-grade dissonance, an interference pattern. I could feel it, but I couldn't name it. It affected my emotions, my relationships, how I saw myself. I was functioning, but I was not fully aligned. I would soon learn that my brain was actually tilted off its midline substantially. No wonder I was a little off kilter. After the surgery, the contrast was unmistakable. Words flowed through me in a way they never had before. Doubt dissolved. I was calm. Wow. It felt like I had been given an entirely new operating system. Repaired heart, salvaged brain, and a brand new smile. The interference was gone, and with it came clarity, confidence, and a deep desire to be of service. In my survival, I was granted a golden ticket for a whole new life. And from that vantage point, my soul caught fire. Suddenly, I was laser focused on my soul's mission. Just before the surgery, I told a close friend, I'm only going to spend 7 seconds on this. This is serious. I could die. It could be cancer. I might never walk, talk, or feed myself again. That's it. I named it, but I didn't claim it. In that moment, I learned something very important. There is no need to dramatize what's already dramatic. Instead, something ancient arrived: faith. Because standing that close to death and coming through it with that much precision gave me a newfound sense of trust. And from that place, I no longer hesitate. I knew I was being saved for something. After the surgery, there was space, actual space, not just for my brain, but for my presence. A new canvas emerged for the third act of my life. I began writing poetry again for the first time since my teens. I trusted my instincts, protected my peace. For years, I'd been developing a body of work, archetypes for elders. I'd felt the call, but the interference held me back. As an actress, I understood the power of crafting stories and embodying characters. I spent my life studying the human condition. I was used to scripts written by someone else. This time, I would have to write my own. And I was here to help others become authors of their third act. In the months that followed, something became clear. None of us decide how long we live, but we do get to decide how consciously we live the time that we're given. Everything we've lived through, the joys, the heartbreaks, the victories, the challenges, none of it is wasted. It's raw material, the kind you use to design your next act. Life brings each of us to these thresholds through loss, illness, fire. These are not endings. These are invitations. And I believe women, especially now, are being called to accept those invitations. Not just to retire, but to consciously design what comes next. Our adventure continues. I spent decades in rehearsal rooms and black box theaters. Actors know something that most people forget. A human being is never just one character. Inside each of us lives an entire cast. The wife, the mother, the photographer, the artist, the executive, the power lounger. Later in life, something begins to shift. While we may realize that we're the heroine of our own storyline, the roles that carried us start to loosen. Other voices begin to stir. In the third act of life, the inner cast starts calling. The question becomes, who is the author of your third act? That's the work I do today, helping people listen for those voices, the voices of their archetypal cast of characters, and to begin writing their next chapter. I now realize that I am here to help others boldly claim what I like to call their third act renaissance. Our third act is not an ending. It's a portal, a threshold, an ignition point. I invite you not to whisper, but to roar. Because beneath the quiet call, there is something louder, a remembering, a reclamation, a roar to be the heroine of your third act renaissance. Thank you.